Welcome everyone. Welcome to Exploring the Chicago Manual of Style Online 18th edition. So to get to the Chicago Manual of Style online here at the Atlantic School of Theology, what I recommend you do is get to the AST Library website. So here I am at a Google search screen, AST Library. And you'll see up here on the left, up at the top of my screen, the result, I have library here. So I clicked on that and I'm at the main page of the AST Library, Atlantic School of Theology Library. So to find the Chicago Manual of Style online database, you have two options. One, you could go to Journal Article Databases right here. Click on that, and if I scroll down, you'll notice here on the bottom right, Chicago Manual Style 18th edition, as well as a quick guide. We'll talk about the quick guide later. Your other option is to go to Style and Writing Guide. So you see over here on the left in this gray menu here, under Style and Writing Guides, right here. I'm going to click on that, and it's the first one right at the top here, Chicago Manual of Style Online 18th edition. So let's click on that. Okay, so you'll see that I'm taken to a login screen. Okay, so it wants me to, Chicago Manual Style is a paid database. It's something that we subscribe to, and so we have to, students and faculty have to log in order to get access. So it wants to know the name of my institution, so I'll just start typing in Atlantic School of Theology. Here it is, third one down. You'll see here, Atlantic School of Theology. Type that in, and then it brings up an Open Athens screen. Now, if you're a student here, you have Open Athens credentials. They have been created for you, and it consists of a password and a username. And these Open Athens credentials have nothing to do with your Office 365 or your Brightspace or your Banner login. It's a separate login. And so you'll see the search box here is already populated with my username and my password. And Open Athens, as I've said in my other videos, Open Athens is just a gatekeeper. It's just the door you have to walk through, the door you have to open before you can get to the resource you want. It's just an authentication system to prove that you're an AST student. And we'll sign in. Here we are. So the database opens up at or on the 18th edition. You'll notice up here in red, CMOS, Chicago Manual of Style Online here, Chicago Manual of Style 18th edition. And there's also a 17th edition you see over here. But we're going to be focusing on the 18th edition. And if you're interested in looking at the 17th edition, this is what it looks like. I've created a video, a tutorial, a demonstration that walks you through the 17th edition, and you can find that video. There'll be a link in the description for this video, and you'll be able to go and take a look at the 17th edition if you want. But we're going to focus on the 18th edition because that is the new edition. It's been out since September, and it's the edition that you should familiarize yourself with. Very little difference between the 18th and the 17th, but we're going to move forward and start familiarizing ourselves with the 18th edition. You may ask, why Chicago, though? Well, Chicago Manual Style is the official citation style for the Atlantic School of Theology. There is another citation style. If you are writing a clinical pastoral paper, then you can use the American APA, American Psychological Association, and APA style can be used for clinical pastoral. But always talk to your professor before you deviate. If you think you want to or need to deviate from the Chicago Manual Style into another style, always talk to your professor first. Otherwise, here at AST, it's the Chicago Manual Style, and now it's the 18th edition. But before we look into the various rules, we are going to go look at a very helpful citation quick guide. So you notice up here at the top, next to Chicago Manual Style Contents here, there's Citation Quick Guide. And we're going to click on that. And you'll see we have a couple options here. Chicago Manual Style actually has two different styles. There is Notes and Bibliography, or the author date style. And AST focuses on the Notes and Bibliography style. These are two separate styles, very similar. But AST, for the most part, your coursework, your professors will want the Notes and Bibliography style. You may encounter a professor who wants the author date style, or who even advocates for a mixture of the two. But never assume your professor wants you to do something that they haven't explicitly put into the syllabus or said in class. So if nothing's been said, then the professors want you to go with Notes and Bibliography. If they want something different, they'll tell you. And if you want to deviate, like I said, if you want to deviate from these two styles, you must talk to your professor first. So we're going to click on the Notes and Bibliography style. This is the style that you'll be using in the Research Methods and Practices course that I teach, and just about every course that you take here at AST will be Notes and Bibliography. So we'll click on that. And what I like about this is you can go to all the rules to learn how to cite. What the Citation Quick Guide does is it gives you a series of examples, and it also gives you the rules associated with those examples. So I always tell students, when you're learning to cite, start with the Citation Quick Guide. See if you can find the rule you need for citing the resource that you're looking to create a citation for. If you can cite it through the Citation Quick Guide, then you're taking some of the time out of having to search for those rules, because the Citation Quick Guide lays them out for you, all the different rules and all the different examples that you may encounter when citing a resource. If you don't find what you want in the Citation Quick Guide, then you need to move on to exploring the rules themselves. But let's head back to the Citation Quick Guide. I'll give you a quick rundown under Notes and Bibliography of the sorts of most popular citation examples and resources that you will need to familiarize yourself with. You notice here on the right, you see here, there's a menu. This is actually a breakdown of every type of resource that examples are provided for in the Citation Quick Guide. So you see here, book, right here, book, and book. So you could jump around, you can go straight to a web page example, you could go to a news or magazine article example, a journal article, a translated book, a video podcast. It's all here in the Citation Quick Guide. We are going to go start at the top. Okay. So, right here, the following examples illustrate the notes and bibliography system. Sample notes show full citations followed by shortened citations for the same sources. Sample bibliography entries follow the notes. For more details and many more examples, see chapters 13 and 14. Let's just click on chapter 13 right here. So chapter 13, these are the breakdown of all the rules under chapter 13. And this is condensed in the Citation Quick Guide. We're going to head back. Okay, Notes and Bibliography, books. So here you have an example of a citation for a book. And the citations are broken into two categories. You have your footnotes and your bibliography entries. So here's a citation, a full citation for a book. Okay? Charles Yu, Interior Chinatown, Pantheon Books, 2020, page 45. And you may notice that's different here than previous editions of Chicago Manual Style. The city of publication is no longer necessary. It's not mentioned here. But you have your author, you have your title, you have your publisher right here, year of publication, and the page number. And now let's go down here to your bibliography. So what would that citation look like? Remember, these were footnotes. These are footnote examples. What would that citation look like if it were in your bibliography? Here it is. There's a difference between the two. You notice up here, it's a given name followed by surname, and then most everything is separated by commas, whereas in the bibliography citation, it's surname, then given name, and then most of the different elements of a citation are separated by periods. And then if you cite the same book a second time, or a third, or subsequent times, here's an example of a shortened citation for the same book, the Charles Yu Interior Chinatown. We have surname, title, page number. So each example will give you, it'll pick a couple resources, show you footnote, show you bibliography examples. This is another useful one here. Chapter or part of a book. Gives you a couple examples here. Kathleen Doyle, The Queen Mary Psalter, in, here's the title of the book, edited by, and they have your publication information right here. Gives you a shortened citation example, and then it gives you a bibliography entry example. Let's take a look at a couple others. There's a translated book. We'll move past that. Here we go. Book consulted in electronic format. This is a citation format example that you'll no doubt be looking for as you consult ebooks here at the Atlantic School of Theology. So, well, this first one here is actually, so if it were an ebook, if you were reading the ebook on an e-reader, this is an interesting one here. So you have your elements, your author, title, place of publication, year, and then you have chapter 6. Sometimes it's difficult to find the page number when you're using an e-reader, so you give the next closest thing. You could give a chapter number, you could even give a paragraph. You could say it's the, chapter 6, 10th paragraph. You'd have to count those paragraphs out yourself, and then you give the device you were reading it on. Here's an example of an ebook that's been read on a database platform. Right there. Here's an example of an ebook. This is how I might cite an ebook that I read on the AST Library it looks very much like a print book citation up here. So I have my author, my title, place of publication, year of publication, page number, and then a link. The link from which I accessed this ebook. And then you have your shortened citations and you have your bibliography citations again, right? Each example will take you through three sets of citations. Footnote, shortened footnote, bibliography. Journal articles, another very important format you will need. You'll be consulting journal articles in your research here at AST. So again, notes. Here's your footnote. So author, title of the article, you notice it's in quotation marks, name of the journal, italicized. This would be the volume number. So this journal would have been published 127. So this is volume 127. So the first volume was 127 years ago, I guess and then number 6 for that year. So volume number and then actual issue number for that year. for the year of 2022. And then you have, let me see, pages, pagination, and then you have a link. So this article was accessed online, and they've supplied a DOI number, which is a digital object identifier number. And if you copy that number, open up a tab, let's search that number. Or let's put the link in the address bar. Just for fun, I'll show you what a digital object identifier does. It can take you directly to the article. Doesn't mean it'll be a full text article, but that's how useful the digital object identifier is. Anyway. News or magazine article. Okay. Let me see. New Yorker. Here we go. Author, title of the article, title of the magazine, date of publication, pagination. And then you'll see down here, so that's Rebecca Mead. Down here, Rebecca Mead, Rebecca. Same article, but in a bibliography citation format right here. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to go back up, and I want to show you. Here we go. At the end of each of these examples, you notice there was a red link. So here, books consulted in an electronic format. And then it says, see Chicago Manual Style for more examples. So if I click on this, it will take me to the rule for how you cite an ebook. And what I really like about it is here on the right. I'm going to try to zoom in here. Okay. So you see which rule are we on? Well, we're on rule 1458. The link took us to 1458. Here it is on the right, 1458. But look at the other rules you could click on. The next rule, 1459, is how to format page numbers in an ebook, or how to cite a book that you consulted online, or freely available electronic editions of older works, or books on CD. So you could click on one of these, and it would take you to the rule and examples for that citation element. We're going to go back. I'm going to zoom out a bit. I'll hit my back button. Same with, let's see, news magazines. So every single one has a see more examples link. So remember, start with the notes and bibliography. So Chicago Manual Style, go to the Citation Quick Guide. So 18th edition. From the 18th edition, click on Citation Quick Guide. Choose the notes and bibliography style, not the author date style. And then do research, find out what it is you need to, find out what kind of media you need to cite. And then look at the examples that you're given. Footnote examples, shortened footnote examples. You only give a shortened footnote after you've cited the book or journal or whatever it is you're citing. You have to cite it at least once in its full form, fully, before you can resort to a shortened. And then, say I couldn't find an example that quite fit the kind of book I had. I'm not sure why, but let's say I couldn't find an example. Well, look here, for more details and examples, see. Okay, so I'm going to go to 14. I'm going to click on this rule right here. 14.2. And here, look, all the different rules. Elements to include when citing a book, form of author's name, non-English bibliographic terms, editor in place of an author. So from the Citation Quick Guide, you can find additional rules under each example. And like I tell students, You know, citing, creating a citation, there is no shortcut to it. It's like learning how to get to a destination. So you can either memorize the route to get somewhere. You know, you're trying to get to the mall. You walk it a few times, you memorize the route. Those first couple times, maybe you use Google Maps, and then you learn to memorize the route. It's the same with a citation. So you come to the citation quick guide the first few times, and eventually you memorize what the citation should look like. Or you always, in an example, walking to the mall, you always use Google Maps. It's same with the citations. You always come to the Chicago Manual style. There is no shortcut. Either you need to come here and look at examples, like I still need to do, even though I've been teaching citation for a long time. I still come look at the rules. Or you can memorize the rules, the format. And I've memorized some of the format as well. I find I need a combination of both consulting the rules and relying on what I remember on how to create a citation. There's really no shortcut to it. It's just looking at a recipe. That's all I can really say about it. But there will be times when you can't find an example. And so feel free to contact the library. We will help you try to sort that out. Sometimes Chicago does not have an example, and you have to create your own citation based on what you already know is a valid and logical rule or format. You take an example. If it's a book, you can't find a citation example for this particular book. Well, cite it using the rules of for a book, and then add additional information if you think it needs to be added. But those situations are rare. I'm going to take a look at a couple other areas. So we've looked at the Citation Quick Guide. I've taken you to various rules. So this is chapter 14. There's also a couple other areas that are helpful. I like the search function here. So you see here, up here, on my right, the search function. Let's type in Bible. And let's type it in properly. Here we go, Bible. So I just searched the word Bible. I was given 25 results here. You see right here. So other names and versions for Bibles, abbreviations for versions. Let's see, chapter 14, 139, Bible chapter and verse. Let's click on one of these. Let's just click on this chapter 14 rule. Okay. Let's see. References to the Jewish or Christian scriptures usually appear in text citations or notes rather than in bibliographies. Now, despite what Chicago says here, whatever your professor wants, that's the authority, right? You go with what your professor wants. Parenthetical or note references to the Bible should include book in Roman and usually abbreviated, chapter and verse, never a page number. A colon is used between chapter and verse. Note the traditional abbreviations use periods, but the shorter forms do not. And here, traditional abbreviations. Hebrews 13 and 8, 13 and 12. So these are footnotes right here. These would be footnotes. And then shorter citations here. That would be 2 Samuel, 1 Chronicles. Right there. And then you notice on the side here, we have a few other rules. Biblical references, additional resource, versions of the Bible. Let's click on one of these, versions of the Bible. So, hey, this is good. Since books and numbering are not identical in different versions, it is essential to identify which version is being cited. For work intended for general readers, the version should be spelled out at least on the first occurrence. So the first time you cite a particular Bible version, you should spell it out. New Revised Standard Version. And then subsequent citations in RSV. So, all right, let's go back to our search. Look at some of our results here. Biblical abbreviations, sections, abbreviations, other names. Okay. So, and Chicago style question and answer. I won't click on that today. You're welcome to explore that. There are a number of questions that Chicago Manual style has answered that people have thought to raise. Some of them are related to the Bible. So you see here, whatever you search, in our original search, when we searched the Bible up here, it brought up two categories of results. Bible, the word Bible where it appears in different rules, and then Bible when it appears in the Chicago style question and answer section. So this is the Chicago Manual Style Online 18th edition, and I encourage you to come and explore the 18th edition. Start with the Citation Quick Guide, the Notes and Bibliography style. And if you don't find an example or enough detail, then consider clicking on the For More Details and Examples rules. Click on one of those. And then explore the rules along the side once you get in. Remember, there's no real shortcut to it, but the more you use the Chicago Manual style, which you must, that's the citation style that is required here at the Atlanta School of Theology, the more you use it, the more you will become familiar with the format, and the easier it will be for you to create your citations. I hope this video has been useful to you, and again, please contact the AST library or come to the circulation desk if you have any questions. Thank you.